Hi, I wanted to come on today. Just welcome to my page. This is Lotus Life Self-Care Coaching program page, and I'm Coach Angela Wimbush. I'm coming on today just to talk about grief. And grief is something that a lot of people, we try to avoid it and we don't want to deal with it. But of course, it comes, of course, when there's a death of a loved one or someone that you care about, someone you know, and you feel that deep sadness, you feel that numbness, you feel that void start to come into play. And just recently, of course, we learned about the tragic death of Malcolm Jamal Warner, who was a wonderful actor, a beautiful poet, and best known as Theo Huxtable on The Cosby Show. I know I grew up watching him and felt like, he was one of my brothers or something, distant cousin or whatever. Because, we get enmeshed in like TV shows like that, especially with TV shows with families. We get kind of really engaged in it. So that I really felt that. I felt like a lump in my throat. So I could feel that sadness coming on for me. I was kind of down that day just thinking about the fact that, wow, like um, we won't hear his beautiful poetry anymore or see his great acting skills. And yeah, that was kind of a sad moment. So it made me just thinking about, just kind of processing everything. And because, that was not someone who was deeply close to me that I had a relationship with or anything like that, that I could say like, oh yeah, I'm going to miss him. Of course we will miss, their presence in the world. Um, because we all have some form of presence, whether we realize it or not. Sometimes you don't realize it until someone is gone. Like, wow, that person impacted me in some way in my life at some point in time. So when I think about grief and I think about some of the symptoms, just, like I said, just feeling sad, feeling down, feeling numb. You may even experience some anger when you have grief. Um, you may experience like a feeling of guilt, like I should have done more, or I wish things would have been better. I wish I would have apologized. I wish we would have had made amends with one another. So now I'm shifting the grief from hearing about a childhood actor that I enjoyed watching their work to just my own personal life and just experiencing. And I have it on my YouTube page, just a video about the things that I experienced, the grief that I had, and the different transitions in my life. So that's really the focus that I wanted to give today was on the grief of transitions, whether that be someone like losing a loved one or a family member or a friend. Um, and I've had those significant times in my life where I've experienced that. And just out the blue, like I could be sitting outside or maybe watching a show or cleaning up or something. I just think about that person or I think about um, like what that person means to me or man, this could be a moment where I could call that person, but they're not here. Um, and I experienced that recently and it was pretty profound. I realized that, even though they say, oh, things get better with time, it changes with time. You never fully just get over it. Healing is a process. It's a continual process. It feels good to be able to talk about it and to process it with someone, but there are going to be times where you're just processing it alone and you don't have anyone to talk to about it. And you may feel like no one can understand what you went through. Like I said, in my story, the transitioning of losing a parent, I had a close friend and colleague that actually passed away of cancer. That was pretty significant for me. Didn't realize how close I felt to her until she was gone and she was no longer available for me to call on. Also, the transitioning of moving and losing a home, um, not just one home, but two homes. Um, Also, transitioning and losing the status of a relationship and just no longer having that relationship through divorce or through maybe someone moved away or a friendship change that can cause some grief. Sometimes you don't even realize it. Um, I know tend to stay in a nostalgic stage sometimes. I love, like, in my childhood and really all through my life, my family, especially my mother, so mainly childhood, always had pictures. Like, if you wanted to know like what happened in a family event and my parents attended, oh, Janice got all the pictures. So we have albums and albums. I mean, they're in storage now, but albums and albums full of pictures of like family events. So I likely have pictures of like most of the people who came around or that my parents were around as I grew up, and it's just so relieving to see that. But sometimes even looking through those childhood pictures and looking through photo albums, I feel that grief of like, man, I remember when our family used to get together. I remember when we used to do this. I remember when this person was around. I remember how it felt to go over this person's house, and now they're not here anymore. So that feeling of grief, um, grieving change of any kind, whether it be a job change or your kids are grown up or, a child is no longer talking to you. So that relationship has changed. Or maybe you had a deeper relationship with someone else. Maybe it could be like a friend or another family member or a family friend or loved one, and you're like, man, I haven't talked to that person in a long time. I kind of miss that, kind of miss them. But things have changed. Maybe that person, maybe they're ill, so they're no longer like mentally or emotionally present, and maybe they're not even physically present. Maybe that person is just hard to catch up with because they're busy. Maybe that person has moved on and you no longer have a relationship with them at all. Maybe that person, their mindset has changed and you just don't get along as much as you used to in the past. So talking to them is kind of hard to do. So there's that transition. Just any kind of change. When something changes, when something ends, when there's a transition, I would say, like right now, I'm going through a transition. I had a lot of things happening at once, and I realized by listening to my body, and because my body had to tell me, had to make me sit down and tell me that you have a lot going on. You're doing too much, and you need to process, take your time, de-stress. And I had to really put into practice what I preach, my self-care principles, like to just take my time, to take things slow, to give myself time to process, to journal. I had to um, just realize that I can't do everything that's going on in my head. Like, I gotta quiet that noise. I had to sit in nature. I had to journal. I had to talk to my loved ones that are available for me to talk to kind of process what was going on. And that was healthy for me. It was supportive for me. And I think that that's something that we need to remember to do as human beings. We can only take so much. And I think my body and God shows us through different ways, through your physical state. He can show you through your mental state, your emotions, that something's going on that you need to pay attention to, and you need to do something different. And that's okay. Like, we need to be okay with, man, I'm feeling sad, I'm feeling angry, I'm feeling down. We need to be okay with that and sit with that and not try to make ourselves avoid it or ignore it or skip over it, because healing is a process. It's something that is continual. It doesn't stop. We haven't like arrived. And just when you think, oh, I'm done, I've gotten through all of the things that I've had to face, something else happens. And then you have to go through another process. So it's a continual thing, but you want to have that, like, that resource for yourself to be able to be like, how did I get through it last time? And that's how we build our resiliency, like just acknowledging, like, this is what's happening. This is what I have to deal with. These are my resources. This supports me. These people are in my corner. This is how I can get through this. And just be real with yourself. I'm grieving. For myself, I'm grieving. I'm transitioning out of working the 9 to 5. I transitioned into retirement. While it's a beautiful, wonderful time and just amazing. I'm just like, I can't even fathom it right now because I'm usually on a school schedule. And of course, this is summer, so I'm usually off. This is nothing new for me. But I do feel like once September comes, I'm going to feel it. And that's going to be another time of transition, another time I may need to process, take a step back, um, reevaluate, reframe, reset. And I'm looking forward to it. I'm feeling a little anxious. I'm a little bit like, well, what's next? What am I going to get into next? I'm excited. I'm excited. I feel like it's a great transition, a fun time. I'm also transitioning from being a mom who's constantly going to take my daughter here and there to now she's getting herself places. So it's like the need of me to do everything for her is no longer there. That transition of, oh, you don't need me to pick you up. You don't need me to drop you off. You don't need me to pay for that for you. Like, she's doing these things on her own. Even like my son, I'm still getting over my son moving out and him being completely independent. It was a transition though that was a little more slow, because he was in our home and he was starting to, once he's got his job, he was paying for things on his own and starting to be more independent. And we started to be like, hey, you got to find your own way to work. Hey, you got to do this. Just kind of helping him to realize that you can't rely on us 100% anymore. We are your parents, but you have to learn to be independent. He did it. He's doing it. And when he trips or when things, obstacles get in his way and things don't go the way that he planned or hoped for, I just remind him, you're doing it. It's in the doing that you're going to learn. So it's kind of, you have to do something. I always kind of call out the verse in the Bible that says faith without works is dead, because it's true. You have to do it. The same is true for um, the therapeutic concept of experiential learning or experiential therapy. You have to do it. You have to, in order to overcome that anxiety, to overcome that fear, to overcome that obstacle, you have to do it. You have to expose yourself to it. You have to try. Maybe you would try and fail. That's also a lesson. I love the quote, I don't lose, I only learn. Um, because learn or win, because that is what happens. You're going to learn from every experience, and just like you learn from these transitions, and you learn from your grief. Like I said, I didn't realize how close I was to the friend that I had lost until she was gone. And then I realized, like, wow, she was part of the village for my kids. She was part of my tribe. When I needed someone to talk to, she was one of the people I called on. I didn't really realize that. I never put her in that category because I am someone who compartmentalizes, and I categorize my relationships, which is a positive thing to me. But other people might see it a different way. But it helps me because when instead of me getting my feelings hurt by certain things, I'm like, well, that person is someone that I can always go to. Our relationship may have changed, but they're still in my, close circle. Same thing, our my friend is gone, but she still meant something to me. I still learned things from her. I still recall the times we had together, the fun we had. I remember the experiences we had together. It's just wonderful to look back on that, even with me losing two houses. And when I say that, like I said, learn my story, look in the moving target video. I will share a little bit more about it, and I may go into it deeper in the future. But yeah, losing two houses, I think about that. It's hard for me to even. I don't even go down them streets. I don't go to that neighborhood, anything like that. It's hard for me. I'm still transitioning from that, and it's been like, man, it's been 14 years since that has happened. But I just kind of feel like, wow, like it's been a lot. So, yeah, you grieve and you go through things. Like I said, now I'm grieving the job transition. Not grieving it's not always a negative thing. It's about learning more about yourself. It's about realizing where you are. It's about processing. And like I said, when it comes to the death of a loved one, that's like an ongoing thing. You may not ever get over that. It's just different. Um, some of the other things, actually, I have, been able to not cons not per se get over it, because I think I learned lessons and I don't wanna forget those lessons, so I'm going to say that I moved past them, but some things has still been kinda difficult for me, like I said, the deaths in a family or something like that of certain significant people in your life, because of the memories that you might have with them, maybe a change in some relationships, maybe a change in dynamics of a group, or um, your family relationships, or your home, just all of that. You're grieving, and it's okay. Of course, the end of a relationship, you're going to grieve it. Um, it may be a short time, maybe a long time. But what I'm going to encourage you is to use self compassion. Be compassionate with yourself. Be real with yourself. Allow yourself time to process. Allow yourself to continue your healing process. Don't be rigid about it and be like, I got to get over this by in the next 2 months. I'm giving it 60 days top. Do what you need to do. Experimental, like, you know, do your work and keep doing your work. Don't give up on your work. I'm going to leave you with two things. So, I'm really big, if you know me, I'm really big into mindfulness and meditation. That's ongoing work for me as well. But I want to leave you with this reading. It's by David White. Enough. These words are enough. If not these words, this breath. If not this breath, this sitting here, this opening to life, we have refused again and again until now. Until now. Again, that reading is by David White. And I just encourage you to proceed with self-compassion as you heal, as you go through any form of grief. in any time of life. Don't put yourself on a timeline. Allow yourself to grieve. Don't get busy where you are not present. Be present and allow yourself to feel. As you know, I am the Lotus Life Self-Care Coach, and I encourage you to be resilient like the lotus. Peace.